Okay, welcome to All Access Coaches Corner with Rising Coaches. For those that haven't been to risingcoaches.com, please check it out. Membership's very inexpensive, just $10 a month, but great investment for your career, for networking, professional development, just being a part of a network of coaches, not to mention just the events and benefits that they have. So please check out the website if you haven't. Go to www.risingcoaches.com. Extremely excited today to have Coach Terry Johnson from Ohio State, from the Ohio State today. Yeah, I've known Coach. So I worked at Lamar University for 3 seasons. Was fortunate to be there, and you get to learn a lot of the great players that played at Lamar. So on the road one time, I met Coach. He introduced himself. I was like, man, I played at Lamar. And then I go back and I start hearing the stories after that. So then the next time I saw him, it's like, no, you didn't just play here. Like, you played here. So, but he's so humble, man, and you would never know it, that he played and was a good, not only basketball player, but baseball player, former All-American, played in the pros. So I look forward to him telling you all about his story. But one of the true gems in this business, I think there's a lot of times that guys don't necessarily get celebrated because of the way that our business is designed. And he's one of those guys that is just about everything that's right in the business. Like I said, a true gem, all-around coach, mentor, great person, family man, married with 3 kids. I look forward to him leading the program at some point, but he's done a phenomenal job at Butler for 10 years, not to mention before his career. He'll tell us about that, but was with Brad Stevens, went to 2 Final Four runs, saw that whole epic ride that they had, and then now was with Coach Holtman after that at Butler, and then now those guys have done a phenomenal job at Ohio State, already taking them to finish second in the Big Ten, I believe, your first year there, right?
Yeah.
And then went to the tournament 2 years in a row. Would have went this year had the tournament not been canceled. So I can't say enough great things about the humility, the work ethic, the basketball IQ, just the all-around person. I think that's the part I want to celebrate the most. But he's actually not only a great person, but a great coach. So looking forward to it. Excited to have you guys on. For those that haven't been on before, we kind of do a mini interview with Coach first to kind of tell the story. And then we open it up for you guys to have questions and comments for a little while. And then he'll present some basketball stuff in the second half. And then we'll open up one more time for questions and comments as well. So super excited. Looking forward to having him on and sharing his journey and learning a lot from him, man. So without further ado, let Coach say hello and give a couple opening words, and then we'll get going.
Hey, everyone. Hey, I appreciate you guys joining us here. I was kind of reluctant at first when Brian asked me, but at the same time, I got it.
At first and second and third and fourth, I asked him about 10 times.
But as I kept thinking about it, the hardest part for me when we get started here is going to basically be talking about myself. So I don't like talking about myself, but I think it's good for people to hear my journey because everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different. Yep. And I think everybody got to understand that. And it's fun. Enjoy your journey. Enjoy your process. Strive for excellence. Do it the best you can and see what happens.
Yeah, no, so excited to have you on, Coach. I know it took a little bit of my my recruiting, had to get my recruiting bags just a little bit. But I'm glad that you're on. Really excited. So tell us a little bit. Tell us about your family, and then also tell us if you have anything funny or something you learned about your family during the COVID quarantine, stay-at-home order experience. We kind of like to open up with that question just to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So tell us that, and then tell us a little bit about your family after that.
All right. Well, with the COVID and the quarantine, everybody that knows me, I have 3 boys. Jalen, Jordan, and Caden, twin boys that's 7 and a 5-year-old. Funny story, probably about myself first. I really got in the routine of just getting up in the morning, making myself 2 eggs and drinking green tea. I'm getting old, fellas, but I still have my Mountain Dew to those guys who know about my Mountain Dew. But the green tea, my wife thought I was crazy. I was like, the green tea gonna keep me from getting COVID, just so everybody know. So I still drink green tea every day. But as far as funny, I probably have to deal with doing the boys' schooling. So the wife was the teacher, and I was the dean and principal. So whenever they wouldn't do their work, the dean had to come in and and make sure they did their work. But
Did you have to go back to the old school of using the paddle and all that? Or
we didn't go paddle. We went with the hand. We had to do hand a few times. Baby boy, he really listened to me more than the twins listened to my wife more, Kristen. And it made me realize I already knew how hard it was for her, especially with this business that we're in. But being there, seeing it up close and personal, it's hard. It's hard on the wives of assistant basketball coaches.
Yeah, extremely hard. Extremely hard. Shout out to all coaches' wives. I don't know your wife yet. I look forward to meeting her and hearing some of the other sides of the stories about this this dean of students and principal. I look forward to that. Yeah, tell us a little bit, Coach, about your journey. I know you have a kind of twist and turn. Started in JUCO, coached in JUCO. You started at the absolute, kind of ground level in coaching and in playing, and then tell us about playing two sports, and eventually kind of just tell us your whole story, how you got into coaching, where you are.
Yeah, welcome, Kyle Marshall. I see you down there, buddy. Yeah, just so everybody knows before I get started, I am a junior college lifer. I'm JUCO for life. That's where it really all got started for me. I was born in West Virginia, raised in Anderson, Indiana. I'm a basketball junkie just because I was born in Indiana. That's what it's about. After playing in Anderson, I played 3 sports in high school: football, basketball, baseball. But after you see football players running just as fast as you, but weigh about 250, you shut football down quickly. So I stuck with basketball and baseball. Graduated, went to Lincoln Trail Junior College in Robinson, Illinois. Nothing but great times there, small town. 3 buildings was the school. Played basketball, went on basketball scholarship. But on my visit, I said I wanted to play baseball, and the coach was a little leery about me playing. Ended up having a good career, basketball and baseball, won a championship. After there, went to Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas, what Brian talked about earlier. Played 2 sports there. Redshirted my first year in baseball, played basketball. Second year, played both sports. The only thing I regret about Lamar is not helping them make it to the NCAA tournament. Once I got that taste of the NCAA tournament, when I got to Butler, that's such an addicting feeling. I wish I would have got that as a player. Played 1 year baseball, was going back, finish up my 5th year baseball there. Something happened with scholarships during that time, which not sure what happened. I was on basketball scholarship, couldn't play baseball. They was over their scholarship limit. Ended up transferring to IPFW up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They were Division II at the time. My junior college baseball coach was an assistant at Kentucky. He got the job there and asked if I wanted to join him. I joined him, and probably one of the best decisions I made, because I ended up playing 3 years of independent pro baseball, and I actually started my coaching career there. And after that, got my degree, played my first year of pro baseball, came back, finished on my degree. I was working out, staying in shape with the basketball team because I love ball, just hooping. With the players, they was like, hey, you play D1 ball, you mind showing us a few things? Next thing I know, I got an all-out practice going on downstairs. We're doing things. The head coach comes down. He's like, Terry, the guys love you. Do you mind joining my staff? And first I was hesitant because it was the first year. I was like, well, I got 1 class to get my degree. I get to enjoy the college life with 1 class. None of that getting up, running at 6 a.m. I kind of have my own schedule. But I ended up doing it. I'm glad I did it, because one thing that's big that I really enjoy is just helping others, especially other young men, reach their goals.
Awesome. Love it. Not very many people can say they played college basketball and baseball. My wife she's close to you though. She played college softball and volleyball at Colgate. So
okay.
She was a baller herself. So I married up. For those of you that don't know me on the call, I way married up. That's my recruiting ability. So speaking of Lamar too, shout out to Kenyon Spears. Appreciate you joining us, man. Lamar Spears. Yeah. He dropped 20-something on Duke. I got to give you that shout out. I learned about you too. When I was there. So, Coach, tell us about the coaching start. You got started as a coach. Tell us a little bit about your journey. You got started kind of just putting on a random practice, show me some drills, and next thing you know, you got a full-out practice. Coach wanted you to be a part of the staff, and just tell us how you got kind of where you are today.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to take you back a year from when I started, because when I was playing baseball, you guys know Division I, you get that full scholarship, you get everything paid for, you got meals. Now I went to IPFW, they were Division II. Now I got to figure out ways to make some money. Baseball coach had me on work study. Now I'm a Division II. I'm a scorekeeper, Division II, doing the scorekeeper, doing the shot clock, setting up for the games, cleaning up after in the gym. And so after one tournament we had, IPFW, Indiana Tech was in that tournament in the championship game versus our school. And I ended up working at Indiana Tech too a few years later. But we're cleaning up. It was a good game. Our team ended up winning. And there was a freshman point guard. He was crying off in the corner as I was cleaning up. And now, during this time, my old junior college coach is the assistant coach at Indiana Tech at the time. And so I'm sitting there, I'm working, cleaning up, and I just see this guy over crying in the corner. They got beat in the championship. He felt like he let his team down. And you guys know, if you're able to play that it doesn't matter who starts the game. It matters who finished that game those last 5 minutes. The coaches trust you the last 5 minutes of the game. And he wasn't in, but he started. And I said, hey, young fella, keep your head up. You're a good player. Just keep working. The coaches trust you. And that's all I really said to him. Come to find out, 2 weeks later, I get a call from my old JUCO coach. He said, this kid's been playing great. They asked him what happened. He just said, hey, somebody said something. Whoever he was at IPFW said it. Say, hey, just keep your head up, keep working, keep grinding. Good things going to happen for you. My coach called. He said, I told you you're going to be a coach. I said, no, coach, I'm going to be a baseball player. I'm not going to coach basketball. So his name's Terry Collins. He's a JUCO coach at St. Louis. He said, to this day, he always said, hey, I told you. Look at you now. And he's right. And he's one of my mentors. My old junior college baseball coach is one of my mentors. Like my basketball coach, he baptized all three of my boys in the Catholic Church. My old junior college baseball coach is the godfather of my youngest. So we all are in positions like we're mentors, we role models to the guys coming up. And like I see a lot of guys on here that I coach, and some of them weddings I got to go to. One of them is my brother-in-law now. He's my brother-in-law. Like our jobs it's a lot. It's a lot. Our jobs are a lot, and I take pride in setting an example for everybody that I come in contact with.
Yeah, awesome. I think not only not only the players that you have coached, but like you said, people you've come in contact with. Again, just a guy who was working at Lamar and knew that you played there. And you always took time to come and say hello. You always stayed engaged with me, and I just appreciated so much how you walked your walk in this profession. Like I said, it's a challenging profession, not one that guys like yourself always get the flowers they deserve, man. But I just give you so much credit for always kind of embodying that example for the young brothers behind you too in coaching. So salute to you on that. I see we got Shelvin Mack on the call. Shout out to him for the Final Four run. I'm sure there's some other guys on here. I don't know everybody's name, but we'll get to you guys. So tell us a little bit about the Butler experience. 10 years there. You went from ops, kind of left, came back, was an assistant, got hired you were an assistant. As you were in ops, Brad Stevens was an assistant. So you guys developed a relationship. So compliment to you, credit to you to be hired back as an assistant when he got the head coach. And then obviously he's one of the more celebrated, best coaches in the country at this point in time in the world. So you got to work with one of the best, and you're still working with one of the best coaches in college basketball, and Coach Holtman. So tell us about those two guys and your Butler experience to now, if you don't mind, to Ohio State.
Yeah, my Butler experience, wow. I mean, like the ride that the guys put us on. But it starts with Todd Licklider. He's the guy that hired me in as the ops guy in 2004. I had worked Butler basketball camps, built a relationship with him, the players, Brandon Miller, Joel Cornette, Mike Marshall, LaVall Jordan, all those guys, Darnell Archie working in camps. And Coach Licklider one time called me up. I was coming back to work camp. I was at Auburn University as administrative staff guy, just just a young guy trying to get in the profession. I used to chase guys to class checking, helping guys get extra shots. I was a manager, lived in the dorms. I was a dorm, making sure the guys did what they're supposed to do in the dorms. And then Coach Licklider called me up while I was driving from Auburn, Alabama up to Indy. He was like, "Hey, are you ready to work for me?" I said, "Yeah, Coach, I'm coming to work camp." He was like, "No, my number one leaving. I'm bumping everybody up, and I want you to be my ops guy." Now, being an ops guy at Butler it's a hard deal. It's a hard deal to do because Coach Licklider, I know you may ask this question a little later. Coach Licklider was a guy about you got be on time, and on time. If it started at 6, don't be on there at 5:55. Most of the guys are on there quarter till, and he led the way in that. And he was awesome. He was awesome. Being an ops guy was great. Just being organized and detailed, and then working for Brad. Obviously, everybody knows he's at the Celtics, but Brad probably in the 7 years we're together, I would probably say 5 times he might have lost his cool in 7 years. But he was just so detailed, organized, great X and O's. A little quirky at times, but in a good way. But like my biggest deal with Brad was like when you're doing your scouting reports, like he's in tune with everything, offense, defense. And so if you were able to do a scouting report and Brad only had to say one thing about it, that's pretty good. You did your job if he had only one comment about it. If he had 0 comment, obviously you did excellent. If he had about 4 or 5, you got to go back. You got to go back and do it all over again, because one thing being detailed at Butler, we didn't have the most talented guys early on, but we had a team of guys that everybody understood their role and knew what it take for us to be successful night in and night out. Then working with Coach Holtman, actually before even Brad, like the guy that gave me my first assistant job was, I got to give him some credit, was Dane Fife. He's assistant at Michigan State. He was in the process he was at IPFW when they were going through the process of going from Division II to Division I. So I got to give props to him because he was the first guy that allowed me to work as an assistant at the Division I level. And then with Coach Holtman. Coach Holtman's the guy that talks in truth. Like there's no secrets. Like you're gonna know. He talks in truth, and he's really, really good at managing players like egos. He's really good at that. And like the year we had when he was an interim coach, like as a staff, our backs were against the wall. We're on interim basis. Like, you don't know. I got a 3rd child coming. You're asking like, hey, am I gonna have insurance at the end of the year? Like if the season doesn't go well, and give credit to the group of guys that was with us at Butler at that time. Like we had a horrible year that first year in the Big East. Horrible year that first year in the Big East. And those guys, they got that bulldog pride that those guys before, like they did not want to let the teams in the past let them down. And we turned that thing around. And to be honest, that's only really the reason why I'm right here at Ohio State, because of that team right there. That after that Big East Big East turnaround, and with guys that just bought in to the Butler way at that time. And a lot of those guys are on here. I think a few of those guys are on here right now. And then the Final Four teams, like I haven't really enjoyed those Final Four teams yet because I can't go back and watch them yet because I still want to win one. I wish we would have won one with those teams because those teams were fun to be around. They wasn't perfect. I know they're smiling right now. They were not perfect, but they were fun to be around. They were coachable. They challenged us in everything. Like they wanted to know why. Well, or they even helped us out in shutting guys down. Like if a guy couldn't shoot, we probably was not going to guard him, and he could have been a top 30 player or even a 1st round draft pick, top 5 pick. He couldn't shoot, we're not gonna guard him. And sometimes I can go back and watch a few films that we won, and it just looked disrespectful how the guy get picked 5th in the draft and we didn't guard him out on the perimeter. But they had an understanding of following the game plan and executing it together as one unit, like both teams did. And that was the only reason why we got there. Those guys bought in. They had 100% belief, and it was fun to be around. And and a ride that I wish was still going. And I wish we won one because those 2 years, we did everything we were supposed to do, right, on and off the floor, mainly off the floor. Those guys were good students. Probably in those 2 years, I want to think how many headaches they gave us. What you guys think out there? Maybe one, not many. We very rarely had off the floor issues. That was key because they allowed us to just coach ball and prioritize their growth. That's all they allow us to do. And I think that's what made us successful and able to get to that last game. And we just came up short. We got beat. We didn't beat ourselves. We got beat.
No, that's great. We all saw the Cinderella ride that you guys were on. I can't even imagine what it was like behind the scenes and being a part of that.
B, hold on. You're going to upset some of them. Don't say Cinderella.
Hey, T, I was about to say that. I appreciate that, T.
Oh, yeah, my fault. Okay, so what the world perceives as Cinderella. How about I say that?
Correct. Like, it was like we expected to win. Like you're right. The world perceived us. Like, those guys expected to win. Those guys, they put in the work. It was an expectation. We could care less what everybody on the outside thought or said. And that's how we drove them. And that's how they drove us. We expected to be great. Yeah. I mean, like, everybody strive for excellence in the classroom, on the court, in the community. Like, those guys represented themselves, their university, their families to the highest. Yeah. And that's what made it so fun. That made it so much fun.
Well, I see a little bit of that. Sean just checked me, so I see the standard of excellence right there. I appreciate that, Sean. I needed that right there. I appreciate that, man. No disrespect. So shifting to a little bit heavier topic real quick, man. Let's talk a little bit about Black Lives Matter. Obviously, there's a major pandemic going on. Yeah, I see you represent. See, I got mine on too. Right. But obviously, there's a pandemic going on. The world's kind of slowed down, so it's kind of forced all of us to look at it differently. It feels like for us as Black men and women that we have more support and more of an open heart, open mind for the first time. So tell us a little bit about anything you've experienced or thoughts on that before we kind of get into Ohio State.
This is a heavy topic, not only in the world, but in my house. Obviously, a lot of you guys know my wife is white. And we don't say really biracial kids or mixed kids. They're Black, period. Like, that's how they're going to get viewed. And George Floyd's incident happened. Here's the crazy deal. Like, this might be bad parenting. It might not. So this is what, in my household, how it went down. I'm upstairs on Twitter. I see it come across. I'm looking at the video. I'm steaming. I'm mad. My wife is downstairs yelling at the boys. She has not seen this yet, yelling at them. They're fighting, of course, 3 boys. That's what they do. They fight. So I come storming downstairs. I sit down on the couch. I play the video. I got my oldest one on my right, the other 2 Clark up on my left. I got 3 different reactions. All right. Jalen, the oldest, He's a little sensitive. He like, Daddy, is that real? Is that happening right now? Is that real? Jordan, stone face. Like, he don't say much. He gets evil, kind of like his dad a little bit. Like, he just stone face. Like, why are they doing that? And then Caden, he's 5. He don't know, but he understands, like, why isn't he getting off of him? Like, and I was like, was I right in showing them? I thought I had a couple more years left before I had to have that talk with them. And I couldn't wait no more, because I think the pandemic helped, because our life goes 100 miles an hour. My life would have been going 100 miles. I've probably been on the road and it saw that. But it happened to be I'm at home and I saw that. And it gave me an opportunity to teach. I had to, because they're going to face that at some point. And I hope it ain't. I haven't had to really face it. I got a scar from Galveston, Texas, young and dumb. But I just hope, I'm glad that it happened during the pandemic, because now everybody see it. And it is a Black thing, but it's a human thing too. Like, come on, like, everybody know that's not right. That's just not right. Like, you don't want nobody kneeling on the back of your head and he's giving up. Like, And then as I watch videos now, I get angry, like a family. Somebody think they stole a car. You got a 6-year-old boy face down with cuffs on. Like, really? Like, I get angry over like seeing this on Twitter over and over. And you can't believe everything on Twitter, but like a video, like you can't put a 6-year-old in handcuffs. That's like, I'm looking at one of my boys, I'm thinking about them face down in the concrete. Like, is that there's no way that happened here in America. It's not. No, really? But like, I'm happy. Like, one thing I like to just say, like, let's take a strong stand and be in this thing together. And I know there are a lot of people that are in this thing. We're gonna try to keep this thing alive. Like, do I think it's ever gonna end? No. I do think we all can educate each other though. I think we can educate each other and talk. And if you don't know, ask. It's okay. It's okay to ask. And it's okay. You understand more. But like everyday life, like this has been going on for years. I'm 46, this is going on way before I was born. But my family, they taught me. They told me like, hey, life isn't fair. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? So I just try to live life to the fullest, enjoy every bit of it, enjoy everybody I come into contact with. And if somebody asks me a question, I'm trying to help, try to teach, try to learn. Except for when I was young and dumb and I got a scar for it now.
Yep. No, I appreciate you opening up and sharing that, Coach. It's not an easy topic, but a really important one for all of us. So appreciate you sharing that and giving us the insight of even your family. That's big time.
Yeah, I had to watch my wife on that topic. She tried to get us all out there, and we protest together as a family safely. My wife wanted to protest late at night. Like, no. Like, your safety is important to me now. Like, we're gonna go out and do it right. Like, we're not gonna be out there after 6 o'clock protesting. Like, we're not gonna do that.
That's awesome. So switching to the Ohio State, tell us, you've been to Butler, you've been to some different levels, even as a pro. What makes Ohio State special, the place?
Okay. I like to tell people Ohio State is Butler on steroids. That's how I like to describe it. You have great people, and the steroid part is the resources. The resources are off the chain here. They strive for excellence just like Butler did. They want the best. They want the best coaches. They want the best doctors. Everything is about being the best here we want the best managers. We want the guys some guys could get on the floor and be the best. Some guys are just the best at cutting up film. Like, we want the best managers, people around us. And that's what Ohio State wants. Like, I think we have the best AD in the world. I never met a guy like Gene Smith. Never. Like, to me, he's the Michael Jordan of athletic directors. Like, and his whole goal is the welfare of the student athletes. That's his whole goal. Like, yeah, we're in a pandemic, and guess what? He's right there at the forefront, going through every angle of this deal. Like, is it safe enough for them? Or like, we started workouts July 20th. Like, we're able to here with the resources. We get tested twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. Our guys get tested twice a week. Like, every university don't have that option. And he's just great. And he leads every meeting. He's there. He's at every sporting event. Like, he tries to get to everyone. And he's approachable. Like, you could talk to him, and like, if something ain't going right, he could sense it. He come around. He's around. He talked to the athletes. He's great. He's the best I've been around. He's the best I've been around.
No, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Coach. Tell us about Coach Holtmann. Tell us 3 things, if you had to say, what makes him elite. Because obviously, as you talk about the best, to be able to walk in Ohio State and finish second in the Big Ten out the gate is almost unheard of. So, and then to go to tournament, again, and have another good season after that. You guys have really done an excellent job there. What makes him? What are 3 things you would say that makes him great?
Well, first of all, this league is a load. This league is a load, one of the best in the country. And I remember when at Butler, we always had a recruiting deal. Like, we were always like 9-1 versus Big Ten teams, or 8-2. And every time we recruiting against somebody, we just show them the paper. Like, we're 8-2 against the Big Ten, whatever. Like, bring at the top. But this league is a load now. Year in and year out, it's going to be top 1, 2 conference in the league, in the world. But with Coach Holtmann, he's a teacher, excellent teacher as far as with us talking to us about getting the guys better and skill workouts. He's extremely, extremely competitive. Like, you cannot be a competitor and play for him. You cannot, because every practice, every drill is competitive. Like, Mike out here, Mike, our manager, he's out there. Mike, like Coach Holtmann, if you need a manager, Mike, where Mike at? Coach, Mike got class. He's not here today. Like, but he throws managers out there on the court, and they expect them to compete. Like, don't hurt nobody, but compete. All right. And then probably what he does, like I talked a little bit about earlier, he talking truth. And like, I think the only way you're able to talk in truth to players is have a great relationship with them. He talking truth. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's not going to sugarcoat it for them. And you're going to always know what he's thinking. You're always going to know. And I think those are like 3 things that would separates him.
Yep.
And other than he's a good person. He's a good person.
Yep.
I've been very fortunate in the guys I've been able to work with. Our values kind of lined us up a little bit. So I've been very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually met Coach Holtmann back in the day when I was a junior college assistant at Collin County for Jim Sagona. He recruited a kid named Quincy Sarpy. He actually signed him at Gardner Webb. He was an assistant. And
Okay.
Lo and behold, you never know how these paths cross and where people go. But
All right.
I don't think I thought at that time he's going to be the head coach at Ohio State one day. But he was always great. He was great then. He was detailed in recruiting. He was a good dude and still is. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. Tell us about something that you love about what you guys do in these 4 categories. So first, something that you love that Ohio State, you guys do in offensively, something that you love defensively, which you're going to show us some of that, but tell us something that you do. And then in recruiting, and then also in your culture.
I'm probably just going to stick to the culture mainly on this here. Offensively, like one reason why I was hesitant to get on, like, because when you're talking in these things, like back at Butler, we used to, if we were going to play opponent, you're not going to give up. You give up too much. Like, that's why I'm hesitant on. I don't want to give up too much. Somebody rewatch it, and then they find a way to beat us. So, like, at Butler, I think one year we were playing Bucknell in the tournament. Not much film on, not familiar with it, but you better be detailed, especially NCAA tournament. Like, you got to be detailed on what you're doing. And so we go back, find the Bucknell coach, did a champions video. And we got everything we needed on what he was trying to do offensively. And our guys locked in, and we was labeled. I think they had a big fella, Muscala. I think he got drafted by the Hawks. Like, we shut him down, completely shut him down. And like, so I'm be hesitant on offense. I'm gonna give some stuff defensively, which a lot of these guys on here already know.
Yep.
Recruiting, what we look for, guys that fit our values. All right. I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. Guys that have 100% belief in what we're doing. Guys that represent their families, their school well at the high school level. Like, how we think that translate over. No matter where you go, you're going to do that. Guys that love to compete in the classroom and on court. Like, that translate, no matter where you are, that translating over. So those are a few things recruiting that we look for. And then what we do culturally here, one thing that I do, and it's nothing to do with on the court. Coach call it beyond the hoops. Call it beyond the hoops. We talk about everything you can imagine except for basketball. So like, we have the social, like Coach Holtmann, like when George Floyd came out, he texted me. He was like, T, I want to put this tweet out. Do you think it's okay? And I said, Hope, you could do whatever you want. I've been with you for 7 years. This topic has been, you had delivered this topic to our players every year, whether something happened or not. Like, we having that conversation, and we're having guys open up. Like, I'm telling my story, another player telling his story, what happened to him, or what he lived through. Like Coach Holtmann telling a story about him where he went to a inner city school in Lexington, Kentucky. Like, so like I said, Coach, you're, from my standpoint, you can say whatever you want, and I have your back, because it's real and it's coming from your heart. It ain't nothing you just throwing out there to help recruiting wise, because majority of the players are African American in the college basketball world. You're not doing that. You're doing that because it's real and it's from your heart. And I know that. And if anybody could question that, I back you up 100%. So I think, and we do that. We help our guys here more so here than at Butler. Like we have financial advisors come because you're dealing with that with the guys that are looking to go to the NBA or play overseas. And one thing here about at Ohio State, like their alum, the former players, NBAs, overseas players, they live here in Columbus. They are invested in this place. Like they watch every game. They come back in the summers. They play open gym with the guys. They're talking to the guys. They're texting the guys during the season when you hit that rough patch in January. They coming back in the fall. We doing individual workouts. I got Greg Oden in my individual workout with me, helping talking. We got D'Angelo. We got Mike Red walks in the building, workout all the time. You got Mike Conley coming in, working out, talking to the guys. Like you can't ask for a recruit to see that. Like you got the best of both worlds.
Yep.
Like you can work out with those guys, and then they're gonna talk to you, and they also gonna talk to you about the other stuff, like the stuff that could prevent you from reaching your goals.
Mm-hmm.
So like culturally, like that's way beyond like what I was thinking here, and
Yep.
I think that goes off that. I think that set that up. That might have set that up with his guys. They come back, they invest, they totally invested in this university.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely makes it more of a family feel. Definitely makes it more of a connection that's bigger than even just the basketball for the players and their experience.
Yes.
To have that family feel from guys that they didn't even play with or didn't play for their coaches says a lot of pride, taking a lot of pride in the university. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Two last questions before we open it up. What's one thing, advice-wise, that you would tell your younger self? And then as someone who I believe will be a future head coach in Division I, what is something that you take, one thing that you take from some of the coaches that you work for?
Okay. I would tell my younger self is be more open to change. Like I'm stubborn. Like when we win and successful, I'm like, I'm not trying to change it. I'm not trying to change. Like, why? We were successful doing this. We could still be successful doing that. Be more open to change. Be more creative. I'm a very simple guy. Very simple guy. Got to be a little bit more creative nowadays. And then probably the best one is slow down. Slow down. Open your eyes up. Open your ears. Listen. I mean really listen to what's going on. Like that would probably what I would tell my younger self. And guys, I didn't get my ops job until I was 30 years old though. Like some guys able to get in coaching earlier, like obviously because I played baseball, but I didn't get my first Division I ops job until I was 30. So like I said, everybody's journey is different. I'm glad my journey, my process is going the way it's going. Do I want to be a head coach yet? Yes. Has it happened? Do I get upset? Yes. I just feel like that's not where I'm supposed to be yet. So I just try to be great where I am. Where I am. That's all I try to be. Would you say the next one would I take from all the coaches?
Yeah, just any of the coaches in your past. You don't have to necessarily say all of them, but what's one attribute that you would take from some of the guys you work for?
I'm going to do the three guys, Todd Licklider, Brad Stevens. I spoke on all of them, Chris Holman a little bit. But I think if I could just from each one, Coach Lick, being on time and respecting other people's time. Like you get on, like get on the bus. I remember that first road trip I had with Butler. Like those guys were on the bus. We leaving, I don't know, go on a bus trip, drive up to UIC. Got my UIC guys over there now. They on the bus 15 minutes before. Like, and not only are the players on the bus, like Coach Lick is there. Like he's leading the way in that. Like he's not waiting. Now Shelvin was that 5 minutes before the bus. Yeah, Shelvin was but he was still on time. He was still on time he was 5 minutes, but we were still on time. But Brad, Coach Lick, but like you're the head coach. They're on that. If you're gonna be on time, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there. Like don't wait and just try to make sure everybody make the bus. Don't do that. Like you set that example of being on time. And then then they're just going to continue to follow that. They're going to continue to follow, and hopefully that continues on to getting on time to class, and you don't have to worry about are teachers saying they late to class, or they're going to class. Like, you don't have to worry about it. They see you doing that every time you tell them to get ready. With Brad, detail and organize. Detail and organize. Obviously, we know he's great X and O, but detail and organize. Like, if I could be that throughout on both sides of the ball, I'll take that. And then with Coach Holtman, just talking truth and be able to managing your program, managing the business. And you just got to know the truth hurts. The truth hurts, but that's what most people they need to hear that, especially nowadays. You need to know the truth and have that, but you got to build that relationship where you can talk in truth.
Yeah, awesome, Coach. Definitely appreciate you sharing your journey. We've kind of finished the first part of this production today, so we'll open up for everyone else to have a chance to ask their questions and get a chance to interact with Coach. So just go ahead and hit unmute if you have a question or a comment. If you want to jump in, Shelvin, and talk about how you were really more on time and Coach is telling that you are, feel free.
Oh yeah, no, I was definitely on more time than that. I say the worst person he probably had was Jukes.
That's true.
He made everybody late. But now I got a question. Going on to get into basketball. When you interviewing for assistant coach, like, how's that process? Like, I always wonder, like, how does that work?
Well, for me,
meaning him getting interviewed or him interviewing someone else?
Him interviewing, like, either way, him interviewing someone, like what do you do to prepare for it?
Yeah. For me, like, maybe one time I actually interviewed for assistant spot, and that was when I left Butler to go up to IPFW. And really what that consists of, like, I got dressed up, suited and booted, because you just don't know. So you want to dress the part that you're going. I got up there with Dane Fife. We drove around in his car and we just kind of talked. And what he talked about mainly was, like, don't be a dipshit. Like carry yourself the right way. Like, you can't be, because I was 29. No, I was a little older, but, like, I guess, he was a young head coach too. So, like, it was really kind of like really his first hire of somebody he didn't really know. And so I drove around with him. We talked. He talked about, like, what I would bring to the program. I talked about my ideas from Butler. And then I rode with the assistants. I went to the lunch with the assistants. That is where you really get the job. Like, the head coach, yeah, but the guys that you're going to be around, the assistant coaches, those are the ones that's really drilling you. Like, and really drilling you, just trying to feel you out and see if they could work with you, or you're willing to work with them. And that's the only really experience that I have. Like, some of their questions, it really wasn't anything other than, like, me being myself and just talking. We were just having a conversation, so it didn't really feel like an interview. And then that was really my only experience for being an assistant. But it's really hard to get in. It's really hard. Like the NBA guys are getting head coaching jobs. Like, why are they getting it? Because nowadays kids want to see pros, right? They want to see pros and think the pros can help them get to the NBA. But at the same time, they got to understand, like, college is different for you than what that guy, like, it was for him, your head coach. Like, it's different now. Like, you got to grind a little bit. You got to get nasty a little bit. Like, it ain't gonna be all roses. Because when you play against a older team, mature team, like, you could be number 15. Some of you guys understand. You can be 15 in the country. That don't mean nothing to us. Like, tonight you're gonna get a goose egg. You're not scoring, and you're gonna take this L. So, like, that's where it is now. So to get a job as assistant, you just really, who knows you? Probably the best thing I say. Who knows you? That's the best way to do it. And that's for me, it was through camps. Like, how I got the ops job at Butler. Working camps, being the best camp counselor ever, like, having a relationship with the 10 kids I'm in charge with on my team. Like, you're in interview mode from the time you step on that campus and in that work in that camp. You're interviewing right away. You never know who's watching you. Like, Brad Stevens was a camp counselor. Matthew Gray is a camp counselor. You got Todd Licklider. It's his camp. Like, you're in interview mode right away. And especially like in Indianapolis, like you could be, one of your kids could be what? Larry Bird's son could be on your team, or some Indianapolis coach, some GM of the coach son could be on your team. So like you work in camps, like you're in interview mode right away. As soon as you're around somebody or in a camp, people are watching you right away. So that's probably the best way. Like if you're interviewing for assistant jobs, you're starting right away when you work in camps or wherever you are.
Hey
Yeah,
T, I got another question. Kind of similar to Shelvin's. Like when you're the person interviewing, is there anything you can ask of questions, or is there any comments you can make to the head coach or those other assistants on staff that can kind of reveal their values and stuff like you were talking?
Yeah.
I know you've known most of the guys that you've been with, but let's say you don't have that much of a relationship with the people you're interviewing with. What can you do to kind of gain some information from them?
Great question, Matt. Great question.
Yeah. So you know your values, you know what you want to be around, right? So I would ask, like, what are your values? Like, what are your expectations? First, what are your expectations of this position? Like, and then line that up. Is that something that you can do? Their expectation of this position. Now you go, okay, what are your core values? Do you have core values for your program? What are your expectations for the coach do I got to follow kids to class? Like for me, when I did that at Auburn, that was cool. I did it. I was fighting to get in. When I got to Butler, I understood, like, if you chasing a kid to class, that kid's not going to be good for you on the court. He's not going to, it's just not, I mean, it's going to be so inconsistent. Like, I'm like, I don't want my assistants chasing kids to class. I don't want my GA. Like, I could find out about if you missing multiple times, but like, if I got to follow you to class, I did a bad job. And one of our recruits, like I said, like, you got to be competitive in the classroom and on the court. And if you're competitive in the classroom, you're gonna be competitive on the court, like, because it's important to you. It's important to you. So I think if you ask a question like, what are your values? What's your expectation to me? What are your expectation of the players? I think it's okay to ask a head coach that if you're interviewing for a job like that. I think that's okay. Or the assistants. You ask the assistants, like, what is coach like after a win? What is he like after a loss? Like, ask those questions. How is he with the players? Is he a positive? Does he influence you positive? Or is he does he cuss them out? Like, now sometimes you got to drop some words to him, but like, I'm not a big cusser. Like, but I'm gonna challenge you. I'm a tough love kind of guy. Like, you just got to find out what the coach likes.
Here's something to add to that too, Matt, just to piggyback. Coach was 100% right on. That definitely gives you a lot of insight. I had somebody say this to a younger coach friend of mine earlier on a different call, but he said, go back and watch that head coach's press conference to get a feel for what does he emphasize. And that kind of tells you a little bit of the inside of what he hopes his program will be. So if you can find either an article or find the actual YouTube or whatever it may be to watch it, that's another great way to just kind of have an idea. Brant Daniels, I think you have a question.
Yeah, Coach Brant Daniels. I didn't know you were at Indiana Tech. I was there for 5 years too. I love the Klein family. So just a quick question for you about, as you've moved from IPFW to Indiana Tech to Butler and then to Ohio State, how did you alter your approach, especially to recruiting, as you kind of went in between the levels and stuff? If there was any difference.
On recruiting, you still want to recruit towards your values, your beliefs. But at Ohio State, at Butler, there's a specific, like, you got to want to be at Butler. There's a specific type of kid you recruit in Butler, because, yes, you are in a city, 5,000 students. The bottom line is majority of the African American is going to be from your basketball team, a couple here on football, but it's going to be mainly the basketball player, few on women's basketball, but most of your African Americans are going to be on the men's basketball team. All right. Now, so you want to put them in a situation where they can be successful academically and they can be successful in school. All right, so the recruiting there, like we recruited certain players, guys that it's like a puzzle. We putting a puzzle together. Now, do we want to be good? Yes, we want to be great actually, but we got to make sure everybody lines up with our values. And we even took some chances on some guys that maybe not gonna make it academically. That wasn't good academically in high school, but they were good enough for college because we had our hands on them. All right, we was able to, and they were. The bottom line, we never took a kid that we questioned their character. We never did that. They might have not been great academically, but we never did. If it was a bad kid or we got any sniff in it's not happening. Coach would cut it off. If he found out they smoke weed, he cut it. It's off. It's done. It's done. He cut it off quickly. The biggest difference though of Ohio State and Butler is like you could get in the door way easier now at Ohio State. Now, are we getting in the right doors? We hit and miss some. But you in the door, the top kids in the 15 in the country, 30 in the country, you in the door because you at the Ohio State University, and the tradition here is off the charts. And it's this school is huge. So we have to be careful and make sure we get the right kid, because if you don't, this university will eat you alive. Because like you're playing well, you're doing great. Like now with social media, Instagram, our guys getting hit up. You go on a 5-game winning streak. Like this year we're 2 losses away. We're gonna be number 1 in the country. Can you imagine the pressure our guys are getting? Females, fellas, we all know females, like we all been there. Social media, you got people saying stuff at you at media, like let's hang out, let's do this. But like you have to have the right guys with the right maturity, able to handle it. So like the biggest difference is you still recruit the right people, the guys that are gonna fit your values, be good people. We took some this year with some questioning character, some because sometimes you gamble a little bit. But I think I don't think we'll do that again. We talk about that over and over in our recruiting meetings these days. But just being able to recruit higher level kids in the ESPN top 30 or top whatever that means. I'm not a big fan of it, but I have to adapt. I have to adjust. Hopefully, I answered your question there.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Good question. Let's take a couple more, and then let's let Coach break down some hoops for us.
I got one for you, Coach Johnson.
Okay.
Obviously, you said that, your coach is running a business, and that was something that really stuck out to me because you get to a certain level, you're almost like the CEO of your own company. Your program becomes the CEO.
He is the CEO. Yep.
And you guys, you're you become essentially the COO, the CFO, whatever it is. So can you just, what are some things that you do to help keep your head coach on track? Because he's out probably giving speeches, trying to raise money. Maybe might be out for a couple of days recruiting, or just trying to get organized in that fashion. What are some things that you do and your staff does that can potentially, help the CEO stay organized?
Yeah. Well, we try to. Well, one, we have a great ops guy. We have a great ops guy that helps. But as far as assistants, we try to keep all the little stuff off his plate as possible. Like anything that we can handle it. Like if we can handle stuff like where he doesn't have to worry about it, like any small little thing, like we as assistants, you've been around, most of the assistants you've been around, what your head coach like or how he would, like Coach Holtman he's 48, I'm 46, so like we kind of think alike. All right, so I know certain things I could say like, oh, Holt wouldn't approve of that, so like let me handle it. He doesn't need to know though. I can handle it the way I think he would handle it. And he trusts us as assistants to do that as well. So I think trying to take all the little bitty stuff away, don't give him too much. You got to give him some now. If you have a big one, you just got to give it to him. You have to. But if the little things, the little negative thing that might come out, that you try to handle it yourself. And then don't let him coach you. Don't let your CEO have to coach you. Like, do your job. And then do more. Sometimes you got to think like a head coach. That's the next spot is all the assistants we want. You have to think as a head coach as much as you can.
Good stuff. We'll go one more. I think Sean, I believe, had his hand raised. Go ahead, Sean.
Question for you.
Hey, I appreciate you raising your hand this time. You got the baby now, so you raising your hand.
Yeah,
Earlier you straight Debo me, but it's good. It was good for me.
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that.
Yeah, I ain't met my niece yet right there. I ain't met her yet.
Yeah, she's asleep. Question for you. See, so I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like especially at college level, you have to sell yourself more on social media and is it safe to say that it's kind of like not less about X and O's for assistant coaches, but even when I was at D2 level, reason I even made a Twitter, he's like, hey, you got to go out there and sell yourself more, sell a program more. How do you do that, but keep it genuine? It's not just fake. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying, Sean.
Another great question, Sean.
Another great question. Now, I understand what you're saying, and I'm probably the prime example of that because
yeah, kind of like you. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm a private guy. I'm kind of introvert. I socialize when I have to, so I guess I didn't fit in that mix of selling yourself and doing the things on social media.
That's one area where I talked about you got to be a little more open to change, a little bit more open to change. But one thing I would say, do not, I actually wrote this down. I said, do not jeopardize your values, your character to get ahead. Like, you still got to be yourself. You got to be yourself. Like, I'm on Twitter now. I put out a little bit more stuff here and there. And like I said earlier, like, I struggle with talking about myself. I'd rather like talk about you, Sean, talk about Shelvin, talk about those teams, talk about a manager. I'd rather talk about somebody else other than myself. I hired an agent right before the pandemic because I need somebody out there speaking on my behalf because I don't do those things. And that's where the way it's going and getting a head coach, like guys have agents speaking for them before jobs even open up to ADs that they know and things like that. Because I'm a quiet guy to myself, I have a small group, and just because I don't promote myself. So you really have to just be true to yourself. Don't jeopardize your values, your character to get ahead. Unless you're willing to live that. And some guys lie, and some guys, they desire to live that life. Like for me, I can't. And like me and Brian talked about it a little earlier today, like guys being in the office from 8 to 10 at night, like I've been blessed. Like I was at Butler, like Brad Stevens say, hey, like go home, have dinner with your family, like get your work done if you got to work after. Like I'm a family guy. I was a family guy before I had boys, and I'm really a family guy now. Like I'm a father. Like I'm their role model. I'm there as much as I can. They understand the sacrifices that daddy has to make. My wife understands that, but that doesn't mean they're not going to complain sometimes. Right now they're loving it. But like I'm a family guy. Like if you mess with my family, we have problems. Serious problems. Like, and if something come up, like Coach Holtman, he knows. Like, Coach, I need to go run and take care of this. He's like, all right, T, go handle it. Come back. Like I've been fortunate enough to work for people like that. So I just say, like, don't jeopardize your values, your character to get ahead. Don't do it, because like you'll be living a lie. Don't live that lie. Don't live that lie. And everybody decides differently, but everybody's journey is different too.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback, Coach said that brilliantly. Just, everybody has their own truth, so to speak, too, and everybody has their own race, like Coach talked about. So just running your own race, but still being open-minded, like he said, is advice to himself. Sometimes half the battle is just like Coach said, retweeting things that are on your school's page, or maybe you go to your school's page, your school SID, and talk to him and say, hey, there's a couple of things that happened. Maybe we can put something out, and then you just retweet it. It doesn't have to be you creating something all the time. You know what I mean? Just find a way to still promote the brand of the school you work at, but at the same time, still be true to yourself. You know what I mean? Because you never want to try to be something that you're not. In this business, sometimes you can get caught up in that. All of us can be tempted at that. So just stay true to yourself is the best advice I would give you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch over real quick. and we'll get ready for video mode. So Coach is going to show us a little bit of the Ohio State behind the scenes. So we look forward to that. So yeah, we'll switch to the basketball part, and then we'll have a question and answer at the end too. If you have questions while it's going, feel free to just type it in the chat, and I'll spit it out to them.
Okay. Am I ready to share, B?
Yep, you're good to go.
Perfect. All right. Can everybody see my screen good?
Yes, sir.
Everybody good? Okay. All right, guys. A lot of guys, Butler guys, you probably seen this a little bit, familiar with this conversation. And this is a conversation I love to have. Like, we're talking about defense. So with our staff, working with Coach Stevens was a little different. Everybody on staff had scouting, had scouts. We was every third scout we had. But when Coach Holtman took over, we were down a staffer. And so we ended up going offensive defense coordinators. And then you had a guy that did personnel. So here at Ohio State, Ryan Peden is our offensive coordinator. Myself as a defensive coordinator. And then Jake Diebler, who joined our staff last year in charge of personnel. He does a great job. So the personnel guy that handles personnel and myself on defense, like, we have to be on the same page as far as tendencies with the other teams' players. Matchup wise, we want to make sure we set our guys up for success. We're not going to put a guy who can't keep the ball in front on a guy that's a constant driver. We're going to put him on a guy who's probably a shooter, who make sure he stays around that shooter. But as we go through this, like, I always talk about immerse yourself into the process. And as you all know, like, when high school kids, no matter what level, what ranking they were, the one side of the ball that they do not like immersing themselves into, that is the defense side of the ball. And they love offense, but you have to find a way to build that relationship with them. Like, if you want to get on the floor, your playing time, like, you're going to have to defend. You're going to have to defend. And one thing is, you must believe 100%. Our entire program must believe on the defensive end 100%. All right. And like our guys at Butler, like, we keep it simple. I'm not trying to make this thing complex. Like, I'm a firm believer, like, you have to have a foundation defensively. If you build a simple foundation, then you can start tweaking and doing things however you want it in your scouting. But everybody must believe 100%. One thing I love to ask, like, if I'm just in conversation with the team, is like what is our goal on each possession defensively? The answer is real simple, but some people try to draw it out. Like, I'm a simple guy. Like, I don't need this answer. Be really specific. What is your goal? It's real simple. Stop the other team from scoring. Pretty simple. I'm a simple guy. Like, I don't need, like, activity. Yeah, we need to do activity. Yeah, but, like, our job, how we do it, if we do it technique-wise, great. If we don't, then we get to stop. We need to stop that other team from scoring. How do we do that? Try to keep it simple still. Keep them in front. All right? We got to keep them in front. It's hard to stop anybody if they're already off and running. And they're not seeing the front of our jersey, like Butler, Ohio State. I want them to see that for 40 minutes. They have to see that for 40 minutes. All right? We're going to contest everything. We got to make it hard for them to score. We got to make it hard. We're going to contest. If they make a tough shot, we just tip our hat off to them. Hey, that's tough one. Can you do it for 40 minutes, though? Can you do it the entire time? Then lastly, flesh-on-flesh contact. Like, if you're afraid of contact, like, football is a collision sport. Hoops, contact sport. Like, you got to make contact. You got to put body on body. 3 basic concepts I like to talk to our guys about. It's real simple. Positioning is key. All right. As far as position, like, one, you got to get back in defense. Like, sprint to your position, be ready to attack. A lot of guys, you guys heard us say this before. Stance, lower man's win. Lower man wins. You don't have to be the biggest guy. There's a few guys on here right now. Just for example, Willie Beasley. Willie V may be mad at me. He's 6'3". Willie Beasley could guard 1 through 5. I mean, I'm comfortable with putting him on a 5-man. He would sit on his legs and he'll make sure that 5-man don't post hard or he gonna be underneath the basket from him sitting on his legs. All right, so lower man wins. Sprint to your position, be ready to attack, because defensively we're looking to attack at all times. Stance, lower man wins. Communicate. You're not gonna be a good defensive team if you can't communicate. Just not. Like, you have to communicate. We want to be disruptive with our mouth. Now, after a while, you may be able to, if you got a team that's been together for a while, i.e. our first Final Four team. Like, they played the first year together. We had a trip to Italy. It's like they got used to playing with each other. They was quiet on the court. They talked a little bit, but like they understood their teammates' body language. Everybody understood the system, the game plan. They paid attention to detail. And if they didn't, then they finally talked and discussed it. But you have to be disruptive with your mouth. And then the last one, again, completion. Finish the plays with authority. Again, the flesh on flesh, finish plays with authority. And then I always tell the guys, let's go play. If we get stops, coach ain't stopping the play and trying to call a set. If we get stopped, you get to go play free. Go let that thing hang. Like, that's what I try to tell the defense. If you defend, hey, coach ain't going to stop you to run a set. Now, every now and then, if depending on the game situation, we may have to. But, like, you get a stop. Let's go. We want to get the ball down the court and have some fun. All right, and let everybody play free. All right. And then I got 3 musts here. We have about 5, but I'm going to go over 3 of them. Defensive must. Again, set our defense. Get the defense set. Secondly, we want to protect the paint. So this year, we did a really good job of protecting the paint. The bad thing is we were worse than the Big Ten in three-point percentage field goal. Like, teams just shot lights out. And a lot of that is on me. I did a bad job of teaching our closeouts, like Reddicks, Paul George, Rondos. I did a bad job. And we had a few games, Rondos made threes. And I kept saying, Coach, can they make enough to beat us? And they couldn't, but we gave up. I felt like we gave up way too many threes to good shooters. And I put that on me. I didn't do a good job of teaching. All right. And then we're going to make them earn it. Over a 40-minute time, if they continue to make big shot, contested shot over and over and over, like, hey, that's not our night. That's not our night. They beat us. We didn't beat ourselves. We made it tough on them, but they still made big shots. If that happens, I could tip my hat. I'm not going to be happy about it. I hate losing. I hate losing more than I love winning. I got to get back to the drawing board and figure it out in a hurry by the next time we meet. So those are just a few things defensively. Hopefully I didn't go too fast. If you need anything, feel free to email me. Brian had my email. Give me 1 second here. Coach is I'm gonna try to find a video. Is there any questions out there right now before I move forward to video?
Yeah, T, I got a question really quick.
Okay.
I know going from probably Butler to Ohio State, you experienced a lot of differences with your staff makeup, and obviously us going from Belmont to Florida, we experienced the same stuff. So how do you guys utilize like GAs and your video with your scouts? Because you were saying how you break down the offense, defense, and personnel. So how did they sort of help out with that?
So I'm still I have to watch every single game. So what our managers do, or video guys, a lot of our managers, they clip up a lot of film. And a lot of the guys are on this Zoom. They're the one clipping the games up for me. And what they do, the film I get is just the offense and defense. So I'm watching the other team offense. That's really all I'm watching as I'm preparing to get ready to prepare for practice. I'm watching the other teams, all their offensive, all their last, say, anywhere from 4 to 6 games, especially if I'm not real familiar with it, probably 6. And as I walk through, I'm able to get a feel for the coach of like what he likes to run at certain times. And at the same time, I'm watching the personnel, and I've talked with Jake about tendencies on some of the guys, and which is hard because before our game even starts, I'm already on to the next game. And all you guys that I've been around know I like play calls. If I could get play calls, I could stop anybody. And I could give the guys a good, and I pick it up almost every game. I'm out on the floor. You'll see it on video. I know the guys gonna be laughing at me, but it's okay. I'm out on the floor trying to get calls to relay messages to our team as best as I can. And in the past, when you have older guys, it's very easy, guys that understand the game, that been through it. And this past year, we was very young, but we were extremely talented. And we had about a good 3 defenders that were pretty good, but they were pretty quiet. And so I had to get them communicating better to help their teammates. So even though we have GAs, but our managers do a lot of film clipping up, which makes my job easier. I don't have to clip it. I just have to watch it. And then the night before we about to play, that's the one time I kind of sit and I watch the entire game, offense and defense. I just kind of watch it sitting up in the bed before I go to sleep.
Hey, Coach,
Yeah.
before you go, I'm a high school coach in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been a big-time Butler follower for a while. I mean, back in the 2010 days when you guys went to the Final Four and whatnot. And I know you're at Ohio State now, but my question is building the culture of defense. I know it didn't start when you guys went to the Final Four. Like I read up on you guys late 90s, early 2000s, the Butler way. Was it like a core group of guys that decided they were going to buy in and communicate and talk and lock in and play great team defense, and they carried over from that point? Or like what was the start of the Butler way? Because this will be my 4th year as a head coach, and I'm all about what you guys are all about. But obviously, I'm dealing with teenagers, and I'm really trying to build that culture of we don't talk on defense, we yell on defense. We help each other, we hold each other accountable, we take charges. But with this new generation, it's tough sometimes for them to buy into the tough stuff, even though I'm continuously telling them, if you guys want to play at the next level, this will give you a competitive advantage. So again, was it like a certain group of guys who bought in and everybody else followed, or what? I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah, I understand. Best answer I could give you is like, I was actually coaching at Indiana Tech at the time. And I'm up in my apartment. It's March. So, you got the conference tournament championship games, right? So I'm sitting in my apartment, I'm watching the Horizon League. And this had to be, about 99 maybe. So whenever Mike Marshall was still playing, and the guys at Butler remember that name, Mike Marshall. And he's a good friend of mine now. So I'm sitting there watching it. And I'm sitting here thinking like about my next move. What do I do? What do I want out of coaching? And I'm watching Butler. I think it was Wright State. They were playing in the championship game at Wright State in another center. And I kept hearing this guy's name on TV. Mike Marshall with this rebound. Mike Marshall take a charge. Mike Marshall on the floor. Mike Marshall block a shot. And in my mind, I started thinking, I was like, that's what I want to be around. Like just one guy from that program just had me hooked. And so and then when I got to Butler, I knew exactly like what it meant once I got in. And I started saying, and I'm like, it was just kind of like the Butler way is just like giving yourself up for something bigger. And that's what like Mike Marshall, that's what he brought in that game, and which caught my attention. Like he was a defensive minded guy, and I think it had to be in late 90s, probably mid 90s. And when I got there, they had the simple rules because you didn't have the tallest guys, you might not have the quickest guys. And then the defensive simple system was so simple but effective, but it also protected everybody. It protected your weakness as a individual player because it was all a team. It wasn't, oh, my guy scored, my bad. No, if somebody scored, they scored on all of us. That's like the biggest difference from high school to college, it's like high school players like, oh, that's my fault, but he scored on me. No. He didn't just score on you. He scored on our team. Our team gave up that point. And that's where the trust came on. And then what happened in Butler, like we able to get more talented players, all right, more talented players. And then, but we still kept the defense simple system. And then as you were able to get more talented players, fast twitch players, and then it was just an explosion of a group of guys who was still protecting one another. We were able to tweak things defensively, and some of it was just their instincts alone. Like, for instance, like Sean Vincent, fast twitch, boom. He didn't have to be in the right spot all the time that we wanted him in because his natural ability just took over. Once he got him there, and then he could see the game. Sheldon Mack, he saw the game, taking a charge. Like, I remember Sheldon freshman year, like he took like 2 charges first game on the road at Drake. We was like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, and it just those things that we couldn't teach, but we had them in simple positions. And then, and Sheldon, like his sophomore year or junior year, he stopped taking charges, and I had to get on him a little bit. But that's a whole nother story. But like, it ended up being just like a whole, like you protect your brother, like just that relationship with each other, going through a tough training session together, like helping each other through. And like we instilled that, like the staff at Butler, like there was one agenda. That was one agenda. Let's be a champion. Like there was no hidden agenda amongst the staff. And I think that's why we were able to go. We were all good friends. We're all good friends with one agenda. And that was to make sure Butler was successful, make sure the players were able to reach their dreams, whether it was on the court, in their professional, whatever they want to go into. Like I could talk forever about every single one of our guys. Like my biggest joy is when I get to go to their weddings or I get to see pictures of them with their kids. Like that's my biggest joy. And one of them married my sister-in-law. So I'm like, everything I do in coaching, if I never get a head job, I am fulfilled. I am rich because of that. Because that's what's important to me. Like I was talking to Shelvin today earlier. I sent him the link because on Instagram I saw he was at the pool. He had the pool with his kids. Like I laugh. Like that's joy for me. And I think that family close-knit is the reason why Butler defense just kind of kept getting better and better and better. I got off track there. I know I got off track because I got excited because like I'm passionate about talking about somebody else's success.
No, that's awesome, Coach. There's no getting off track. This is your show, Coach. You're good.
So was I able to answer your question though about the defense, Coach?
That was great, man. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Are there any more questions before we start the film?
We'll save the rest to the very end, Coach. We'll get back into the hoop squad.
Okay. All right, guys. On the film, this is how the film's going to go. It's going to go from, hopefully it's not choppy on your end. It's going to go from practice drills. So hopefully you can pull a drill out, something you haven't seen, to what it looks like in a game. I think that's a great, when you're talking to your players, whether you're talking to the head coach, like have some practice stuff and show them how they're being successful in the game. Like you want them to see it. Like we always good at showing guys what they need to improve on, but make sure you show them good things, show them doing things well, show them doing things that they have practice. Because right, these kids now, they like, you got to make sure that they feeling good and they're in the right place for them to continue their success. All right, so we're going to talk about defending on the perimeter, and we're going to talk about some ball screen stuff. All right, here's our first drill. There's 2 action. We just call this 3-on-3 energizer. And then we talk about our closeouts a little bit. We see 2 high hands. We want high hands on the ball. We want to be disruptive on the ball. And we're working on jumping to the ball, protecting our brother, making sure we're there, and we have everybody back. And this is like a drill, like this is in the summer. And like, so there's some freshmen out there trying to understand what we're asking of them. But this is a drill like we do constantly. Like we're constantly doing the same, and the guys get bored with it. If they get bored with it, that's good. It's good. So they understand that it's important to us, And we want this activity and this drill to be displayed in the games. And like you can see right there, us protecting each other. Those guys were able to switch and just activity and being disruptive. You got to be able to keep the ball in front. Like there's no defense that I could come up with if you can't guard more than 2 dribbles. If a guy straight line drives, I can't help that. Your teammate can't help that. Here are guys guarding the action, and we don't guard it perfect. We got guys out of stance and get locked, but we got enough presence, protecting each other, swiping, like, and then finishing the play. Like it's not going to be perfect. If it's perfect, great. If their activity and energy and their togetherness is perfect, I'm golden. But their technique, it may not be perfect all the time. But we want to be there. We want to be active. And just bring a lot of energy. And a lot of energy, obviously, we playing at home. The hard part is, can you take it on the road? Can you take it on the road? So that was 3-on-3 Energizer, just guarding each other, protecting each other, having active gaps. Here we call tunnel drive with wall ups. All position do it, bigs, guards, and we just want to wall up, throw our chest, and we're being physical. Coach is very, like I told you, coach is very competitive. And like one of our core values is toughness. We want mentally and physically tough guys. All right, here's a little action, boom. And you can just see like some of the technique. That's good right there by CJ Walker, keeping the ball in front. And wall up. We don't want you, you're not gonna block as many guys if you're on it. Not many guys if you're on the ball. We want the guy off the ball to block shots, not just wall them up, keep them in front. Here again, this is our 5-man, closing out on the 5-man that shoots it, that could drive it, and just walling up. And we're always constantly throwing our chest. Here versus Villanova, we had a lot of great success versus Villanova in the Big East. The last year we were in the Big East at Butler. And so when we were really excited and we scared them a little bit. We scared our guys a little bit, but our guys responded well in this game. Because it's a little, they're a little unique. They got multiple guys on the floor. Like they're gonna have at least 5 guys on the floor. So this is a game like you really have to be able to guard more than 2 dribbles. All right. And we're not leaving. You're almost on an island by yourself a lot when you play against Villanova. Like we're not leaving these shooters to give them threes. So you got to do your job, work on your technique, focus. And EJ Liddell was able to keep the ball in front and block the shot as well. All right. Ball screen coverage. All right, we're simple ball screen coverage. Like we're simple. We're hedging on the side, and in the middle we may ice, we may down, we'll just switch. All right, it all depends on our personnel and the other team personnel. So here the first one, just 4-on-4, simple, working on hedging, being active. Guard can't get rejected. The biggest thing in ball screen coverage, we can't get rejected, we can't get split. All right, and this is where most high school kids run in troubles when the ball screen take place. And you guys all know the game is all about ball screens. Like this is where young guys don't understand they have to trust their guys behind them. They have to do their job and own the ball, but trust your teammates is going to have your guy. Freshmen are such a hurry to run back to their man thinking their guy going to score. Right. And we would prefer to have active hands, but we didn't get it. But we were able to get there and contest. We got lucky there a little bit, but it got all the way over to the corner. Here, good. Protect. So you're on a stream. Here's something we get in scouting. You guys all know. Oh shoot, I forgot his name. But Carolina point guard coming off good. Like this game here, we were staying longer. He's the one guy on the court that we thought that could beat us, and he could beat you by himself. So
Cole Anthony,
yep. And that was just one thing. Like, hey, he's not going to beat us. Like, I made it clear to Coach Holtman, like, Holt, I don't care about anything else, but that guy is not going to beat us. Like, and I was in awe. I'm going to tell you, fellas, first time in Carolina, my idol, Michael Jordan, his college gym, like, I was in awe when we were shot around, but like once the shot tip went up, I like, all right, we about to bust Carolina's butt here now. All right. And like I was on point. I believe, hey, my brother guys, I had my hard hat. I brought a hard hat out. And like, we're going to war, fellas. Let's go. Let's go take care of this thing on the road. And our guys came out with blazing and we was able to come away with a win. All right. So sometimes we'll tweak. That's one tweak we would do within our defense. We'll stay a little longer on guys we deem that could beat us. Another tweak we could do in hedging. If we deem a guy was a pretty good shooter, we would X out. We basically have partners going. So you still own the ball screen, and a guy will X out, and he doesn't go until the ball get released and be there on the catch. You could do this for shooters. You could do this for guys bigs that love to rip and drive. It doesn't necessarily have to just be a shooter. It could be a guy that rip and drive, and they're not skilled. It could be bigs that's not skilled. All right, but what they do well, they may rip and drive quickly, so that guy that's hedging cannot get back. See here with Indiana, he wasn't much of a shooter, but he had a quick rip and drive, so we X, and we wanted to wall up, and we was able to create a turnover there. Here at Northwestern, they have most of their guys that can pick and pop. So the real key is like everybody has to be locked in, and everybody has to be moving. We always talk about having boxer feet. Don't get landlocked. Like boxer feet and the head has to be on a swivel. Here's a drill called ball screen gauntlet. Now in this drill, we're putting it all together. Like the bigs, they hate this drill when I call it like we're doing ball screen gauntlet today. They hate this drill because they have to do the most work. All right. So we're gonna guard middle ball screen. We're gonna guard side ball screen. We're gonna guard a dribble handoff, and then at the end they got to guard a middle ball screen, and then we're switching. Or sometimes we'll call it veer, just depending on how deep it gets. So here first, we're just gonna force him, little shadow hedge, and on the side we do what we do. We're gonna hedge. So outside ball screen, we kind of drop and plug on outside ball screen. All right, here we got a dribble handoff. And then here we're veering. This is where you got to communicate real well. All right. Yeah, that was a freshman there. He had questions like, and Caleb, the older guy, he has to talk. He had to be sure about his communication with the younger guys. Here's a few we got older guys here in this group. And we got Coach Diebler out there helping communicate like there. Like when Coach Diebler out there, like no rejects. We got to make sure he uses it. And then here we got a veteran on the ball. He just blows up the screen, create a turnover. All right. Ball screens we talk about with our bigs. Be careful, but have active hands. This is Cowan. Like with these guards in the Big Ten, especially this year, like they were all good. You got to make sure you create a lot of chaos and be very, very disruptive. Here with Illinois, so like Illinois was a team like their 4-man couldn't shoot. Like, and I had told the guys, I was like, if he make a 3, it's on me. All right. I said, if he make 4, we're probably not gonna win. And I tell you guys what, within the first, say, media, my man I can't remember, Williams, he made 2 threes, and everybody looked right at me. I said, trust the process, trust the process. But like we wasn't guarding their 4-man, we didn't deem they were shooters. So we was able to rotate big to big. Here in the middle, we kind of forced it weak with any flat ball screen. Here we had to guard multiple. We deemed he wasn't a shooter, wasn't in no rush. Here we was active with our hands. Here, one thing, like knowing your personnel is huge. Like Caleb Wesson, when he was a freshman, could not switch. It added another dimension to our defense. When his freshman year, he was weighing 294 by the end of the year. Here, he's weighing 260 to 270 and able to move so much better. That opened up the defense so much. Like we could switch him now onto a guard. And I trust him switching. Like I didn't care who it was, and our defense is going to be there to help if somebody happened to beat him. Like that opened up so much more when our 5-man is able to switch and keep guards in front and make them score over their length. So just being able to know your personnel, be true who you are and what you want your defense from the defense side, what you want that to look like. And as you can see, like I'm passionate. Like when game time comes, I'm almost on the floor. I'm that sixth player on the floor, and coach has to sit me down sometimes. But I want to make sure, like that's my side. I take pride in that. Like we lose a game, we got 10 turnovers, 15 turnovers. I don't care. We lost. I mean, the defense, we didn't get the job done. I'm not saying that was the offensive side fault. I'm not saying that. Like, no, like we got to find a way to get stops. Period.
Yeah, great, Coach. Appreciate you sharing. I know there was some inside trade secrets you didn't want to share, but appreciate you sharing as much as you could. We definitely are grateful for that, man. Yeah, you guys have had so much success, and we know you can't have that success without being able to guard. So, thanks so much, and credit to you for what you're doing over there. Let's open for questions. We got a little bit of time left still to have some questions and dialogue with Coach. So, since we got him here, feel free. Let's go with Peyton first.
Hey, Coach Johnson, just a quick question there at the end when you were talking about switching with your bigs. What are you teaching your guards?
Not to interrupt you, if you don't mind, just tell Coach where you're from so he knows.
I'm
he may
assistant
already
coach.
know you. He may already know you.
Assistant coach at West Virginia Tech. We're at NAI school.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks.
But we switch 1 through 5 a lot on ball screens. I was just wondering what you teach your guards in the post. Are you fronting, 3-quartering, just playing straight up?
So post defense, guards your front, no matter what. Guards your front. Your job is the front, and we're going to be on your backside. Now, you have to be careful when you say that because they're just front and say, Coach, you told me to front. Like, no, you post up like you want the ball, get your bottom into their legs. And so you could almost push them underneath the basket. All right. And now our bigs post defense wise, they're 3-quarter. All right. And I'm working with a little bit more length than I have in my Butler days, just a little bit more in some areas. So they're 3-quarter to behind. And like with Caleb, we didn't want Caleb to get in foul trouble because we needed him on the floor because obviously he lost weight and he's a weapon with his ability to shoot threes. But his IQ is off the charts. His IQ is off the charts defensively. And so if we felt like we needed to post double some, we would. But Caleb was pretty good at 3-quarter, getting them off the block, and then standing between them and the basket.
Appreciate it, Coach.
You're welcome. Yeah, I was going to add those post drills on there, but I've been giving up way too much.
You were only going to give so much of those trade secrets, because we know that. I got one for you. What's your best method of getting calls? I know that's something you're into, and I think that's kind of always a tricky challenge for guys, and probably different if you have – with you having to coach every single game defensively to prep your team, it's probably even harder than maybe if you have 3-game out. But curious about that. And then second, what offensive team or strategy gave you guys the most trouble or gave you the most trouble? I know if you have calls, most of the time that includes a set, so you kind of can get prepared. But is it teams that played in more of a flow? Is it teams that played in 5 out? Is it teams that just played in transition? What gave you the most trouble, and then how did you get calls the best?
I'll go on the calls first. On the calls, I listen. As I'm watching the game or even just the offense, the other team offense, I'm listening to the game. Like, I always want volume. From the game. And I'm listening, whether it's a TV game or not, I'm listening. And they're paying on the coach. And so, like, I have to listen to the game, and I'm watching the players, watching the point guards, because if somebody's not paying attention, they're going to yell out the calls.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I talk to other coaches who just finished playing them. I try to see if they got any calls. So when I call and ask about a certain play, like, hey, did you get any calls? And I got some friends that we exchange calls. Then as far as what gives us trouble the most, teams that run motion. Set-wise, we're pretty good at sets. Like, you run a box set, you run a triangle set, we could take things away. The teams that just run motion, like Purdue motion, like you can't script that. You cannot script that. So what we try to do, when we playing like teams that run motion, we constantly in practice, we're putting 5 guys out there, 5 versus 4, and you're guarding guys, you're moving to different spots. Are we going 5-on-5? And cause that kind of in the pack, that kind of stretch you out again, especially if you got shooters out there.
Yep.
It stretch you out a bit. So motion, I would say, would be the one that we really have to lock in when we playing those teams.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of what I expected. Which that's most of us. That's not just you, Coach. Most of us.
And then you got the teams. You got Michigan State teams like Coach Izzo and them. They have so many sets. Like you can't cover all their sets. And so then you just hope your team understand your principles, your foundation is set.
Yep.
And then you just hope that's going to take over. And they're just playing. Because I don't want them thinking. I don't want them thinking out there. I want them playing.
I want them playing free.
I want them playing free.
TJ, saying, I know you ate all the candy back in the day, man. You're one of the best question askers I've been around, so I'm going to call you out a little bit. I've been on some Zooms with you. I know your intellect, so feel free.
I don't really have a question, but I'll just make a statement. You know, like Brian, you kind of alluded to it. T should be a head coach. Like Terry Johnson should be a head coach. And if you don't know who he is yet, you will, because he's going to be an extremely successful head coach one day. And I mean one that develops the players into men for their life. Like, you know, going there as a GA, you know, I graduated from Belmont. You know, I got really lucky, just like T did. I mean, I worked Butler camp for a couple of years before that, you know, got lucky, knew the staff. And, you know, there were 3 different assistants and an ops guy. You know, they could have put my desk in, and T volunteered. Like, he wanted me in there. You know, he over 2 years of sharing an office with him and then working with him for a total of 3, you know, sitting next to him on the bench. Like, he is a professional to the nth degree. And he helped me even now, like, you know, transferring over into the professional basketball ranks. Like, I can't say enough about him. One really quick story and just an example of who he is as a person, you know, not just a coach, but, you know, I got there right after the Final Fours, and it was the first game of the first season. We're going to Evansville, and, you know, I was in charge of a lot of the video stuff. And so we park at the arena. You know, he's already got his suit on. I'm carrying a bunch of bags. He takes like 2 of the bags from me. This is a guy who just came off back-to-back Final Fours. I didn't help with that at all. And he's helping me carry in, you know, the bags for the video. And he helped the managers set up video in practice. And his office was always open. Now, sharing an office with him, he had the heat on super high. I would say that. Extremely high heat in his office. So that was difficult. But other than that, like, I can't say enough about Terry. You know, he's a great mentor for me, and I really appreciate him totally.
Appreciate that, TJ. Hey, I still got that Target heater right behind me right now.
Yeah, it's on high too. Summer.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that, TJ. That was awesome. I couldn't agree more. I think Matt has a question. High school coach from Upper Arlington.
Hey, Coach. This is Matt from Upper Arlington. Thanks for all you guys did with Danny Hummer. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate that, Coach.
I have a question for you. We work on our closeouts all the time in practice, 2 or 3 segments per practice. If you were a high school coach, would you do the multiple closeouts like you guys do with the Red X and I don't know all the names, but
yeah.
Do you think that's a valuable thing in high school to do is my question.
I do. If you're able to, anything you're able to help them prepare them for college, I think is good. And it's gonna put some ownership on them as well. Like, you have to pay attention to you as you're going through the players in your scouting. Because like in high school, when I played high school, my coaching, we were at a talented team. Our coach didn't scout. We had a pretty talented team. But like, there's a lot of schools they have to scout, and high school scouting now. Like, and I think that put a lot of ownership on that, on your players now. Like, and especially your seniors, you're trying to win, they're gonna hold everybody accountable in knowing what each player do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also gonna help your, like, you don't want guarding guys that you don't have to guard. You want to be able to shrink the floor as much as possible if you can, because you want to help each other out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll take one more question, and then we'll get some comments and some closing remarks.
I got one. I was gonna ask. I got one.
Okay.
T, for I do exact same closeouts. We do JJ, Rondo, and PG. For Rondo, when you close out short, obviously because you can't shoot, do you tell the guys to inch out after they close out and they square it up? Do you tell them to inch out a little bit more, or you have them sit back?
No, you have to. That's a great question, Sean, because I have to explain that to our guys. You have to inch out a little bit more because I still want you to be disruptive. You're just gonna be short, and you still got to close out high active hands, and you got to inch up. Or for instance, we had Roosevelt Jones at Butler, right? Roosevelt Jones taking only 3-pointers he took were like at the end of half or end of a game. That's a 3-quarter court, half court three. So everybody played off of him, right? So we had to teach Rose offensively, like Rose, when they play off of you, you either have to go into a dribble handoff to a shooter where your guy is way down. You got Kellen Dunham coming off that handoff for a three. Or he was so physical, he's getting in the paint now because you're playing so far off of him. All right, so you got to inch up and then be disruptive after you do your initial closeout. Just have to.
I'll teach the right thing. I'm just making sure. Appreciate it.
Yep, because you still want to be disruptive. And I know you still want to be in attack mode. Like we're defensively, you're not going to be on your heels. You don't want them on the heels. Just close out short. All right, now inch out to him and be disruptive.
Appreciate it.
Coach, we got one more from one of our female guests who's a coach, a good coach at that. She asked, she said, I've been really studying ATO defensive adjustments or ways to really maximize ATO situations to get a stop defensively. If you had to pick one, what is your favorite adjustment for an ATO defensive scheme?
Oof.
And if that's a part of the trade secret, you can just –
No, it's not.
You can tell email you.
No, it's not. I go back and forth on this. Would be like one of the heated discussions during the game that Coach Holtman and I would have in a timeout, especially with coaches that likes to run a different play out of a timeout. And I'm old school. I want to just straight, hey, we got this. We're man up. We're gonna do it. But depending on your team, like one year Butler, like we had a good zone team. Even though we probably played zone 2% of the time, like I was always like, hey, 2-3 right now, 2-3 out of a timeout. So either 2-3 or I would change up my ball screen coverage where they say, hey, fellas, one time, hey, we're going to go 1 through 5 here. Dispossession only, 1 through 5. If we've been doing 1 through 4 the whole time, I'm like, dispossession only, 1 through 5. But it also go into like who I have on the floor. Caleb Wesson, the 260 Caleb Wesson out there, I'm okay with it.
Yep.
Or if I got Kyle Young at the 5, I'm okay with it. So I wouldn't say I have one way I would do ATOs. It probably just depends on the field, the game, who we're playing against. And then I could also another one, like I would Big Red. I would trap a post player coming out of the timeout.
Awesome. I know a couple of people had some comments they want to share with you, Coach, similar to TJ. So I'll let Coach Andre Gray, Coach Andre Gray, kind of like the Ohio State. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, what's up, Dre? What's up, mate?
I know most of these guys know you because it's your Zoom, but I've got the pleasure of got to know you a little bit through the years, and I just want to say the same thing. Like you should have been a head coach a long time ago.
Appreciate that.
Just listening to you talk and being around Coach Holtman. It's funny how small the world is. I didn't realize Coach Burton, Coach Sarpy. I have Sarpy when I was at Gardner Webb with Holtman as well. So
okay,
all small world, but just wanted to send you some love, man, because you're a phenomenal man and you're gonna be a phenomenal coach. And hopefully one day I get to coach against you, but you're gonna get yours before I get mine. But
like
talk about ball, man. That was awesome. Like you're such a phenomenal man and coach. So I'm pulling for you, bro. Just keep doing your thing.
I appreciate that, Dre, and likewise, man. Keep grinding down there at UNCG. I know you're doing a great job down there, and that's why I wanted to get on here. I just wanted to get on here and be like, T, you got to tell your story, man. You have a great story, and I appreciate all the guys. I think I just sent it to 1 or 2 managers, and then more people started coming on, sent it to a couple of players that I know that's in the coaching business. And like, man, and it makes me feel good because I see everybody doing well. So, like Coach Spears, like Coach Spears was in high school coming to play open gym when I was at Butler, at Lamar. Like that's my guy. Like that's my guy.
He's actually going to say a few words next. You called him right on time. Go ahead, Coach Pierce.
Yeah, T, great job today, man. I'll just continue the story you just brought. I was a high school player, local high school player in the area at Lamar University. Terry was the starting point guard there. I would come to summer camps and then obviously play pickup with those guys in the summer. And he didn't know me very well, but he took me underneath his wing, man, and just kind of taught me the ropes of what it's like to be in college before I even got there. He was number 10. When I got there, I wore number 10. And just was a big brother to me and still is a big brother and a mentor to me to this day. So obviously kudos and big ups to you for continue to grow in the business and spreading your wings to other people so they can grow. But any of you guys that are on here, man, again, T, I know him. Anytime you need to reach out to somebody, you want to pick your brain, he'll be more than happy to share this information with you guys, share his story, share his journey, and be able to give back as much as possible. So thank you for spending this time with us, man, and sharing your journey and giving back, most of all.
Welcome, man. You're welcome. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Sean, you up next. We got a quick little finish, and we got for you, Coach. You didn't know this was coming, Coach. But we got a little finish for you.
I just want to say thanks to you, man. Anytime I ever need advice at any time of the day, I call T.O. The answers hit me right back. I never shared this with you before, but I want to say thank you. The first time I really thought of getting into coaching is when you were at Bowling, you were playing Providence. I know you remember this. You genuinely asked for my opinion about how I should guard something. So that moment we shared right there really made me want to coach. I just want to say appreciate that and thank you.
Appreciate it, Sean. Hey, little story with Sean. Remember back in the days when you was an ops guy and you could send mail to guys? Sean was one of the guys that Brad gave me to send mail. I could send mail to him and I write notes on it, and I always find a quote or something to send to him in high school in Tampa. And then Sean ended up coming to Butler. And so he's at Butler. I get married, all right. At my wedding, he gets with my sister-in-law. They meet, they together. And so now that's my brother-in-law. Like, he goes from my player to it's my brother-in-law. Like, it's really, really in the family. He had 2 beautiful kids, and I haven't seen the second one yet, but like, that's, like I said earlier, like, that's my joy. Like, that's what makes me excited. That's why I do what I do. It's just, I like to lift others and like to see other people lift and reach their dreams, their potential. And if that happens, I'm rich, fellas. I'm rich. My heart is gold. I'm rich.
Amen to
and
that.
I'm able to take care of my family. I'm good. I'm good.
And a big reason why, Coach, you're on this thing too, not only how good you are, but again, guys like that don't always get celebrated in this business. So we wanted to take some time out for you to be able to share your story and share us how good of a coach you are. I think there's a few more guys that want to say something. Matt was one of them.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to T real quick. Only bad thing I learned from T was he kind of got me hooked on Mountain Dew a little bit. Still trying to kick that. I just learned from T, like, everybody matters. I was a manager at Butler. I'm a little bit younger than some of the Butler guys on here. Like, I was just a random freshman student. We'll go into his office like every month trying to get on, trying to be a manager, and he hooked me up and always had time for me, and was finally able to get on with him and had an awesome 3 years. So I just, he lives what he preaches, teaching people with respect, trying to lift people up, trying to help people. So one of the best guys I know, and just so thankful for everything he did for me.
You're welcome, Matt. Appreciate it, man.
Well, we'll open up for any other last ones, and then we'll let Coach have the floor, and we'll shut it down, man. Thanks so much for everybody jumping on.
I got the same story as Matt. I was a manager for T, and he's probably the reason I'm in coaching now. So I owe him a lot. Appreciate it, T.
You're welcome, Smells. Good seeing you, man. Keep doing your do. Doing what you do.
Appreciate it. You too. Yep.
Yeah, this was awesome today, Coach. Again, I know I had to roll out some of my recruiting tricks and just stay persistent. But I definitely I know your nature. I know your humility. So I know that was the main reason why. I think you came on a Zoom before I was even doing anything with Rising Coaches, probably 3 months ago.
Yes.
And I think I told you back then. So it's been a 3 month recruitment, but definitely glad you came on. It was awesome. Again, those who haven't checked out Rising Coaches, please do. And then we'll let Coach have his final words. If you want to put your email in the chat real quick, Coach, that'd be great.
Okay.
Most people probably already kind of know you, but some that don't, if you can just put that in the chat, and then any final words you have, and then we'll close.
Well, hey, I appreciate everybody's getting on. I had a great time. I didn't know how this was going to go. I'm going to let you know, I study a lot, guys, on this deal. It's hard talking about yourself. I really just, and it helped me out. It helped me out actually to write more stuff down, either about myself or about when I'm trying to explain myself to an AD, tell them the reason why I'm the guy for their school. So this helped me out tremendously. And I'm just going to leave you guys with this, and just that, you know, like a lot of you guys know, like who I am, what I strive to be. One, I strive for excellence. What I want my legacy to be whenever I'm done or whenever I'm off this earth is, I want everybody to say, like, he was a family guy. I'm just trying to be a great husband for my wife, Kristen, which she wouldn't say great, just as you guys know. She wouldn't say I was great. I'm trying to be an excellent father for my 3 boys, help them grow up to be great young men, reach their goals just like I do. Coaching, like if I could make the sacrifices coaching, up all night watching film, I can make the sacrifices to do whatever I need to do for them. I want everybody to know I'm a team first guy. I can really care less what success I get. If our team are successful and the players around me are successful, the managers around me successful, that's what I'm about. I want people to know that I'm a teacher, I'm a mentor, I'm a role model. I am a role model. I don't take that lightly.
Mm-hmm.
I care for the players. I care for their growth. I really care about that. Means I'm a mentor. I'm a role model. Like that means a lot to me. As a coach, I'm detailed and organized, and at the same time, I'm really simple. And then I want everybody to know I am process driven. The results going to take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. Everything else going to take care of yourself. But enjoy the process. Enjoy this time right now, even though we're in uncomfortable times right now. Like, enjoy it, embrace it. If you have a voice in your community, speak out on it. Speak out on it. Like, I'm a quiet guy. I have to speak out. I'm at a place, at a position, like I can speak out now and not worry about anything. And if I did worry about things before, I'm not worrying about it now, because if it's going to cost me a job, who cares? Who cares? I'm not supposed to be at that place then. If they can't respect my beliefs and what I think, I can't speak my mind, like I don't need to be working there. And that's all I really have. And I enjoy it. I hope you guys was able to pull one thing from this that you could take back with your team, talking to players. I just helped you in general. That's all if you have one thing, you take one thing, I'm golden. I think I did an okay job if you're able to get one thing out of it.
Yeah, I think we all got more than one, Coach, but we definitely, again, appreciate you coming on. I think most people, if they didn't know before, they can see how you're destined to be a head coach. And like you said, you'll be rich even if that's not the case, but we know you're more than qualified and definitely somebody who deserves to sit in that seat. So we look forward to following your journey still. For those of you that follow All Access Coaches Corner, we have another show on Thursday with UCSA Associate Head Coach Mike Peck. If you guys want to join in, feel free anytime. And I know, like many times at Butler, we're going to end the game with the ball in Mac's hands. So I know Mac's got his screen back on. We're going to let you say a few words as we close, my brother, and then we'll shut it down.
You going to put that pressure on me like that?
It ain't pressure for you, man. You was born for this, man. It's your moments.
I want to say I appreciate you, T. I know a lot of people don't realize he's my individual coach for 3 years while I was at Butler. You know, every single day I had to work out with him. He didn't show y'all his favorite drill, the star rebound, and we had to do that every single day. I hated that thing. But,
it's still alive. It's still alive.
Yeah, that's one of the secrets. Well, overall, I was going to say thank you. You helped me making the right decision, whether it's like staying at Butler or going to any camp. Also with my wife, we have long stories about that, in college. I just want to say thank you, and hopefully everybody enjoyed themselves today.
Appreciate that, Shell.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, everybody. Again, follow Coach. He put his email in the chat. feel free to reach out to him. And then, yeah, everybody stay safe. Keep pushing for better change, making this world a better place. And look forward to seeing you guys on the Zoom sometime soon. I'm sure I'll see TJ tomorrow on some Zoom somewhere, man. But no, appreciate everybody. Thanks so much again.
Everybody be safe. Take care of your families out there.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, fellas.